Hello everybody. It is Sunday, May 1st, 2022, and I have just finished a blog slice and dice system that takes my one-page journal formats and turns it into sequential web pages that are compatible with GitHub's GitHub Pages Jekyll publishing system. And so here you can see the pages of my blog on this one particular site, pythonically.com. I've got a number of these going on, which I'll introduce to you over the coming days, weeks, whatever. But it's, a classic blogging format that I sort of cobbled together using GitHub Pages existing tools, specifically putting these prev next arrows in. That's the subject of some of the recent blog posts. But it's come time for me to strip out smart quotes. So when you copy and paste from other software like Microsoft Word or Google Docs, you get these quotes in your file. So I use Vim. This is the text editor, and this is the one-page journal for Pythonic Ally. So you can see, I work in a single file. I have a number of these, really one per website. Each time you see one of these things scroll by, you can see it's a new entry. And whenever I get ready to make a new blog entry, I've got a keyboard shortcut. And then I start typing, and when I save it and run my release script, it publishes it. In fact, I'll show you running the release script. I'll do a little thing just to put it in perspective here. Hello world. And then I would make a headline with another keyboard shortcut so that I, frequently go through and headline things, delete me, because we're not going to be keeping it. Then I do my keyboard shortcut for the release system. It'll take a moment, but you can see it saying it's slicing blogs, and a bunch of text is going to scroll by, one for each blog. A few of my helper things, my journal, my ML SEO package, and then it starts publishing the sites. You can see it just published Pythonic Ally. It moves on to my mikelev.in site, which is a large one. It takes a little bit longer. Linux, Python, Vim, and Git, and all through my different sites that I have to just keep sort of skin in the game. And we can go over here to Chrome, and I do a refresh, and there's my delete me. And so the delete me is in the next arrow of this. If I do a refresh, there's the delete me. All clearly very search optimized, a whole bunch of fun stuff going on here. But the real point of this video, oh, by the way, before I get to the real point of this video, I released Blog Slicer. You can pip install Blog Slicer. It is in very primitive state though. So it's intended to be used like this, Blog Slicer, and just some parameters, but really it has to be used with the Python coming before it right now, because I'm figuring out how to make something pip installable as a standalone command, meaning not having to use the Python interpreter on the command line with it. So I'll get to that point. It's in its early stages. Blog Slicer is just one of my packages. If you want to do Google OAuth authentication, OHAWF, awful, right? Oh, it's such an awful process. So this is quite a bit more ready for prime time if you want to do some logging into Google services. There's probably no easier way than my OAuth library. I also have ML SEO, which is coming closer to being ready for prime time. It's usable by people who know what they're doing, but I've got a few more things in order for you to chase the rabbit and break into the field of SEO, a whole bunch of other fun stuff. Now, one of the things I like to do is work in Jupyter Notebooks. Specifically Jupyter Lab. It's always my screen too. So anyone who knows me by now will know I've got a bunch of virtual screens always set up, usually 1 through 7. I try and always cut down if I get more than that. That seems to be the right amount. Screen 1 is always my journal. Screen 2 is always Jupyter Lab standalone edition. And then screen 3 is almost always Microsoft Edge, right? And this order is reflected in, how do I get to a desktop? I'll do it here, right? I don't need that showing. Terminal for journal, Jupyter Lab, and Edge. And then I have Art Rage here just to represent the break that it could be anything on those following screens, but this is the way I like to work. I'm going to get rid of that hello world. We really don't need that here. And I'm going to show you another journal that I'm working on that has caused me to do this smart quote thing. I just happen to have it in my other Vim buffer. See, I can switch back and forth between different journals. I usually have about 10 of these loaded up, and I rapidly switch through them and copy and paste between them. But here you can see one I just pushed out, and here's one of the first instances of those weird smart quotes in I've. Those are going to be all over the place, and then wherever there's double quotes, it's going to be that, you know, other type of curly quote, smart quote for that. And I don't even know how to search on that because I don't know how to type it. It's just generally a headache to have smart quotes in these things. So let's make a package that can be pip installed. Pip install dumb quotes, right? So this is going to be documented, I guess, at the bottom of this blog post because, well, pushing blog slicer, this is where I talk about the smart quotes. I'll do it on another blog post so you can see the blog post from scratch as well. Do my macro and live casting the creation and release of a pie package. And for those who don't know already, that stands for the Python package index, the Python package index. That's the official one. It happens to be .com. So if you're ever looking for it, I mean, no, it's not .com. I take that back. It's .org. So if you're ever looking for it and you end up on the .com version, you're in the wrong place. See that .org there? So if we tried to go to .com, it's just some other site, probably for sale. Someone trying to make, hey, that's good. It doesn't resolve anywhere. It used to be a parking page there. I'm glad they took that down. It was very misleading. Hopefully someone from the Python organization has bought it and is bringing it under their wing for donations and stuff. That would be good. So let's get started. Here's my GitHub folder, which is, you know, kind of like a home folder for me. It's in my home folder, but all my repos are under GitHub. So you always want to start out somewhere where it's easy to switch between all your different repos. Make a new, well, no, that's not even right. I didn't want to make a new thing there. I want to make a new folder, right? So that's, is that one of the options here? I want to do it as much inside of Jupyter as we can. Oh, there it is, new folder. We will call it dumb quotes. Dumb quotes, right? And one of the things I had done was just make sure there's not a package called that, dumb quotes. There is not. No results found. So it's perfect. It's a namespace that we're just walking into. So honestly, at this point, it's probably best to just go to GitHub and create it from that side. We'll do one step first. You can see here's where I just released blog slicer to PyPy as sort of a practice run. cd ... / into the directory we just made, dumb quotes. And it just has to be some file in there. We don't even want the README because the README is going to be created by Nbdev. But we do have to add some file. So, you know, let's do foo. Touch foo. Git init. Git add foo.txt. All right, so git commit. My first commit. And we can't git push because it's not attached to GitHub yet. It doesn't have an end, you know, they have a name for it, an endpoint for your repo, git remote add. So what you do at this point is you go to your GitHub account. You have to be, you know, have a GitHub account. So again, here I'm in blog slicer, which I just had been doing some work on. So I'm just going to hit plus new repository. And this is going to have to match the file, the directory name I made over there. So that's dumb quotes. It will be public, and remove smart quotes. Smart quotes and smart apostrophes. I don't even know how to spell that. It'll be public. I don't want it to have the README because the README will be created by a tool I'm using called Nbdev. Nbdev is our tool for today. Create repository. Now, as you see, it gives some instructions. All we really want, because we've already gone for as far as the first commit, we have to name the branch as main. That's important. We do need to do that. Git branch hyphen capital M space main, right? And then we need to add the origin so that when we push it, it has a place to go. We do that. And then the first push has to have the -u origin main. After our first push, we can just do git push without all the rest of that stuff. And so call this a before. We just do a refresh. That's the after, right? So it's there, and there's the foo.txt, right? We'll be getting rid of it, but you need to start somewhere. So the next thing we do is add a notebook in that directory. We need to be in the directory. That's so important. When you create a notebook, before you press that button, look here and make sure that that says the directory that you want the notebook created in. Otherwise, it will create it somewhere else and cause great confusion. New notebook. We will immediately rename it, and I'm going to rename it using Jeremy Howard's naming convention, which is not bad, 00_core. Okay, so it's going to be core.ipynb. Now I am leaving around my last core and last index, so I'll push these over to the right so that we can see them again. I believe this will work now. See that? Oh no, it doesn't. Okay, well anyway, I'll fix that later, you know. You don't need to worry yourself about that. But these are our example things that we're working off of. And then this is the new one that we're creating. The first thing you got to do when creating a Nbdev package, it's a Jupyter Notebook, so we can just do a hello world, right? The easiest hello world in most of programming is in Jupyter Notebooks or Jupyter Labs, because you don't even need the print statement. There's hello world. And this comment here says what the file is going to be output as, because it's not going to continue to live as a notebook. There's going to, after we do some Nbdev stuff, there's actually going to be a directory created in here. There's not very much in here yet, but as soon as we run some magic commands in here, there's going to be different files in here having to do with Nbdev. And one of them is going to be core.py. It's going to output from this file having nothing to do with this file name, with the notebook name. It's going to use this here to determine what the .py file. Now let's get that happening as soon as possible. So I'll just throw in an export saying that this is the cell that's going to be exported, and we'll do a print, another hello world. Right? So it's hello world, right? So first thing we do over here is nbdev_new. That's going to initialize this as a Nbdev location. And if we do a dir now or an ls now, you can see there's a number of new files here. The most important one we're going to have to edit right away is settings.ini. So I use Vim. So I'm going to Vim settings.ini, but I'm also going to bring up as an example one from a project. I showed you some of my other things in PyPy, so I'll go up a directory and over to OAuth and bring in its settings.ini. So now I have both, and I can switch between them. Now what I'm doing here is I'm using a keyboard shortcut I made, Control Spacebar, unoccupied by any other keyboard shortcut, so it was available. But in Vim, it's the same thing as going :B space next. Or no, B next is one word. B next. B next. And then I can do that again, but as you can see, all that typing is hardly worth it. You just can put it on a macro to cycle through your things. Reminiscent of Amiga N from my old days on the Amiga. I like cycling through screens real fast. It's like Toy Story clicking through the TV channels, and he went past what he wanted, so going around the hallway was faster than going back. Same concept. So we're going to basically make this match that. Host, GitHub, lib, user. Yep, that's my GitHub username. A description. We actually need this. Surprisingly, you can't leave those commented out. You have to give it description and even keywords. Replace smart quotes with dumb quotes. Oh yeah, that's enough, right? Keywords. Smart quotes, dumb quotes. Yeah, that about covers it, I guess, right? Author is me. Instead of my old Hotmail, you can see how far back I go in tech. Gmail.com, spam. Branch, main, version 001, minimum Python version, audience developers, language English, custom sidebar false, license Apache, status. It's alpha. It's planning, whatever, you know, as low of a version as possible. I want to lower expectations. People don't need to build up. And then we scan down here, make sure there's, see, it's got all these variables filled in, which will make it replace the right thing in there. So that's probably good enough to get started, and I'll quit out. I can always go back into it later if I want. And next step is we're going to try and do a little generating the package. Okay, so it runs here as a notebook, right? Everyone's familiar with just running things as a notebook. But when you have a directory like this, and I'm tired of this thing being here, I don't want to scroll over that all the time. I'm going to have a lot of command line stuff I'm going to do back and forth with this window, so we'll just go back and forth like that. Clear. We should now be able to establish a little bit of control. So Nbdev, let's try cleaning the notebooks. This just strips the metadata out. The fact that that even just ran is a good sign. All right. Now, before is ls. You can see there's no directory here called dumb quotes. There's not, of course, there's the one that we're in, but there's no subdirectory called dumb quotes. Nbdev build lib. Ugh. Okay. So copyright. I need the copyright. Vim Settings Ini. Copyright. Gotta edit that in. Copyright 2022. Mike Levin. And you can see you're going to get all these file changed messages all the time. That's fine. You can just overwrite it. But if you do overwrite it, it's a good idea to do another Nbdev clean NBS, because you don't want to accidentally commit all this strange stuff that's in notebooks to your GitHub repo. We'll try them one more time. Nbdev build lib. There it is. Okay, and now we do an ls. There is another directory called dumb quotes. We cd into that. We do an ls, and there is core.py. We can look at it. Big surprise, it's the hello world. You see a resemblance here between this and this. That's what Nbdev does. It creates .py files from notebooks. Now, That's not all it does. You could just use nbconvert that ships with notebooks if that's all you wanted to do. But it's got all this other stuff that really facilitates releasing packages to PyPy, creating auto documentation. So let's do that auto documentation first. Next. Clear ls cd ... ls. There is a README. Let's see what's in that README. This is a template. See? This will get accidentally released onto PyPy and GitHub if you don't take some precautions now. It's good to start your documentation right away. One of the things that gets put in here automatically when you nbdev new is this one here, and you can see all those directories popping into existence. None of this is tracked in GitHub yet, remember? Or even Git locally. All I did was add that foo file. So if I were to do a git status, you can see a lot of red, right? The only thing in here is foo. And in fact, we don't even want that in there anymore. Git remove rm foo.txt. All right, so it's going to be gone. ls, there's no more git.txt in there. And I'll add everything. There's nothing here that doesn't need to be added. We'll have a copy of the whole thing from scratch. Git add, boom. Git commit. Oh wait, before we commit, always before you commit, nbdev clean nbs. When is a good time to clean your notebooks? Now is a good time to clean your notebooks. Because if you git commit without doing that, you have all this pollution, and it's a metadata pollution, because these are JSON files and there's all this weird stuff there. Git commit -am. It's not even safe to scroll back to it because that could try and auto save and then it messes it up again. So git commit am fresh nbdev init, because it has been initialized with nbdev very recently. It's fresh, and these are all added. And if we do a git status now, not so much red anymore. A few things, you know, the invisible files, no big deal. We'll worry about that later. But the thing I was getting ready to do here was to bring up this index.ipynb. Your project name here, dumb quotes. Keep the headline hash thing. Dumb quotes. Summary description here. Replace smart quotes with dumb quotes. And whether there's a space in there or not, I don't know. I'll figure that out as I go. This will become the README. We don't really need that one, right? It's just telling us what's there. The install procedure, pip install dumb quotes. There's some backticks there that have some special meaning. We'll talk about it later. How to use. We don't need the actual Python program code. We just need the markdown, I guess. Or I could turn it into code. It doesn't matter. How to use. That's the install is already done, we assume. So by here, it's, you know, no, let's call it, you know, vanilla equals dumb quotes contains smart quotes, right? So that's markdown. It doesn't really need to be markdown, but if it were Python, it would try to run it. So if you want it to look like Python and it's markdown and you want that nice color coding, fencing or gating or some stupid name that is used for triple backticks, Python, Python, right? Not much color coding, but there's some. And so now that README, that was the default README of the template, we have one more command we can execute now that we've got something to convert. So let me just make sure you understand the before and after. Clear Vim README, right? Nbdev template. Get out of that. Nbdev build docs. Might not work because there is a special command that kind of needs to go in there. I'm expecting to see a lot of red. Oh, I didn't. Okay. So Vim readme.md. There, thumb quotes. This is the documentation in Markdown. So that means when this gets pushed, in fact, I'll do another before and after. Here is the project homepage. Nothing, right? Just the foo text. So we'll do one more git commit. We'll do a nbdev clean NBS. You get sort of paranoid about that after a while. Git status, make sure that everything we want in there is in there. There's more stuff being created. We actually want those docs now in the repo. So we cd into docs, git add everything, git commit added docs, git push. All right. So as you can see, the Nbdev is finally getting into my muscle memory. That's actually a pretty big deal. This stuff is not easy until you've done it a few times. So there it is now, thumb quotes, right? That's how you install it and how to use, right? So it's on GitHub. It's not on PyPy yet. So we actually have to make it do something out of respect. It's okay to put stuff up in GitHub without it being ready for prime time. Nobody cares. But it's kind of rude to do it into PyPy unless it's actually ready to be used. And you'll recall when I did put my last thing in PyPy, it's only partially ready to be used. So I tell people that. You go into it, and I say how to use, and I say warning. If this is an alpha and I'm still figuring, I already said it, I'm just being repetitive now, but I know how to use it like that. That's how it's in my release scripts. I intend for it to be used like that, but it's not there yet. But that's not enough to keep me from putting it in PyPy. It's useful to me in PyPy. I'll be using it even for my own sake in PyPy, shortening my install script to shorter paths and stuff. Well, anyway, let's get to business. That's index.ipynb, which becomes the README in documentation, a wonderful feature of Nbdev. You can see why Nbdev versus just nbconvert, which ships with Jupyter Lab and Jupyter Notebook. Okay, now this export is a magic little bit of fairy dust. There's something else I want to pick up here. This is Lab Black. So it's Jupyter Lab's version of the black uncompromising code editor, and I'll show you how that works. I'm going to put single tick marks around hello world. It's still valid, okay, but it's not as valid as it could be because everyone should collaborate and use the same conventions. And you see when I run that, it turned the single tick marks back into double tick marks. Black does stuff like that. So it's the uncompromising file editor. You can always overwrite knowing that you'll be doing an nbdev clean NBS later, so, right, to get rid of all that metadata that's in there. What metadata, you might ask? Well, I guess it's worth it just taking a look. cd ... clear ls. The file we're editing right now is this one, core.ipynb. If you've never taken a look at one of those directly, a Jupyter Notebook, you should, because you're going to see JSON, right? It's nothing but a JSON file. So it has the Python code in there, but it also has a whole bunch of stuff that is about the session. It's session stateful stuff. So, okay, so that is 29 lines, right? No, 74 lines, right? So I go out, nbdev clean NBS, Vim that file again, Shift G, 62 lines. It stripped out some metadata. It went from 70 some lines to 60 some lines, right? So proving to you it does something. Next, we want to import RE because RE is going to be the thing that does the work of stripping out smart quotes naturally. I'll do a Shift M to combine these things. I'll get rid of the hello world. We don't need that anymore. Another example of what Black's going to do, the thing after RE, let's just say I did a comment, like, it doesn't matter what. I run it, and you can see it pushes it down by one line because you can't have things immediately under an import. In fact, if that were real Python code, Oh, it doesn't push it down by 2 lines. I thought it was going to push it down by 2 lines. That might have been a change in black. It used to always insist on 2 lines under your import. I'm glad it doesn't. Okay. So this is going to take input and it's going to give output. So I guess we want, it's tempting to do a function at this point, but I'm not really going to do a function at this point because functions make things more difficult than necessary in a Jupyter Notebook, especially right out of the starting gate. So we are going to set some sample text lifted from that place where I know there's smart quotes. That's some sample text. You can see sample. And you can see this will be our real test here. This smart quote we'll be getting rid of. We want to make a pattern. Let me think. Well, for people not familiar with RE, which is regular expressions, and for people who can never have enough reminders and refreshers, you just Google Python RE. It'll bring up, of course, Python's main documentation where that kind of stuff is covered. And we're going to create a pattern. We're going to compile a pattern. You don't really need to compile patterns, but it's the main purpose we're going to be using here. So it's the way I'm going to go. And people look at this stuff and they go, oh my God, it's so much. It's not really that much. You just got to practice, right? So there's this recompile, and something's going to be equal to recompile. Flags equals 0. I can see now that I look at it, it's silly that I should even need that. But we're going to say, you know, the pattern is, and then we put the pattern in here. I don't think I'm going to use any flags. It's going to be a simple pattern. So in regular expressions, it's going to be a string. And inside that string, you can use meta characters. One of those meta characters will be this. Any occurrence of that. And then I'll just be able to keep filling in between these square brackets different meta characters, smart quotes in different directions, and I'll just paste them in there. Now we have a pattern. Okay? And so you can say, following the sequence, re.compile. So this is a pattern. And the result is the pattern name dot match in this case, but we're going to be using replace or sub or something. So it's going to be, you know, pat dot, and then the different things that can be used. Search, match, full match, split. There's all kinds, find all, it's all good stuff. But this is the one that I know we're going to use. And you can see it has pattern in there, so it's a different way. You could invoke it right from here. But we can just say pat.sub, and the direction things go in this sub. So we skip the pattern and we just put the string in there, I believe. It's a little misleading because of the different ways you can use these things. But if I just put the sample in there, and I believe I can replace all of that with quote. Let's see if I have that right. I think I have it reversed. There we go. It's not a smart quote. That's a straight up and down quote, you see. And so I guess I really want single and double. Single quotes, there's going to be a single. And, we're going to have to sort of process it. So, this is, single replaced equals. And then we'll have a, because we didn't execute that. And then we're going to have a double replaced. Double replaced equals, right? And so copy, paste, double equals re.compile. And let's go try and find some of those in here. This is kind of the most pain part of the whole project because you need to find the smart quotes. They're not easy to find or type or paste. All I need is one example where I put quotes around something, and I'll have both directions. There's probably people out there watching this going, "There's one there! Are you blind?" Ugh. Okay, let's just copy a smart quote off the web. Okay, they show you how to type it, so if you have a number pad on your keyboard, it becomes easier. Hopefully these are not graphic images. Okay. So let's get the both of these quote styles in there for the single quotes. Make sure I have them both. Yep. Okay. I'll put them in a more attractive direction. They are smart quotes there. And for the doubles, we'll grab these two. All right. So single replaced equals doing that on the sample, and double replaced equals doing that on the single, right? Double dot sub. And it's like, why release a package for so few lines of code? Do you want to write this code? Or write it twice? Okay, so we substitute that. Oh, we use single quotes there with a double quote. It'll be interesting to see what the black uncompromising editor makes of that, right? Oh, yeah, double sub on the single. We have to do that. Single replaced. Double single sub sample, right? It goes here. And so now double replaced. We don't have anything in there. Let's put some stuff in there. Let's put some smart quotes around something. Family? No, I don't want to quote family. Mountain cottage. It's a mountain cottage I live in. I'm a New Yorker of 15 years, now living in a little cottage in the mountain. Let's see, can we zoom in on that bigger to confirm that that's a smart quote? Doesn't look like it. I copied it from the wrong place. Again, there's people out there yelling at me going, "Are you blind?" Maybe a little bit. So that's definitely smart quotes in there. See that? Those are smart quotes. Mountain cottage. And so it's double quotes. That's because I'm not using a print statement. All right, so the print statement keeps the line wraps that were in the original sample and shows you, oh, interesting. Yeah, substitute. Yeah, right. It's doing exactly what I said. So one more time. There it is. Straight dumb quotes. All right, so this is going to be a package that I'll release in PyPy. I got to do a few things now to make it suitable for PyPy. So people don't really need to see this test, but I live in a mountain cottage in the Poconos. And I'm in a cottage in the Poconos. And now we don't need those triple quotes because it's not spanning multiple lines. So that's a much simpler before and after, right? So you can see that it works. We have some sample input. Now, in my opinion, one of the most interesting parts of this project is how I'm going to conditionally support args, right? Because this is going to take input arguments. It's going to be a command line tool. It's going to be something you can actually, well, no, I don't want it to be a command line tool. I want it to be importable, an importable package. So I might just turn this into a function after all, because when you're turning it into a importable package, and not, so I often do things from the command line. So you'll see the last thing I did, this is how I support whether it's in Jupyter, and then I set some default values. But if it detects it's not in Jupyter and name is not equal main, that means it's being run from the command line, and I use argparse. Right? I import it up here. I import it either way. I probably should put the import down here, but the import will work under Jupyter or under CPython in the command line. So this will not work under CPython in the command line. So I put that inside a check for has attribute. But I guess that's neither here nor there, because I'm not going to make smart dumb quotes a command line tool right now. I'm going to make it just an importable package. So let's turn it into a function. Escape and then Shift M, just combine everything together. Get rid of our extra spaces. And then we def dumb quotes, dumb quote singular. Text, indent, sample becomes text. Print, double replaced becomes return. And just out of convention, we'll get rid of the quotes. And then we'll see what Black has to say about that. I got it. Oh, so there's your double spaces. Oh, okay. So if it's between an import and a function, Black likes to have two spaces. That's the convention. And just to remind you one more, let's see. And we'll do a doc string. Return text with smart quotes and that word again, apostrophes. I hope I still have that there. I do. And it replaced with dumb ones. All right, I guess that's good. And, with that triple double quotes, you can hit return. You can give it a nice line there. Make it nice and readable. Black likes that. Nothing wrong with that. And that'll allow it to show up real nice in tools that do auto documentation out of it. I'm tempted to use MyPy here, but I'll get into explicit typing of variables later. I'm not good at it yet. So that'll be an upcoming topic. But let's get this into PyPy as soon as possible now. First, we're going to test it as an importable library. In fact, there's not really much testing to do. This is just so straightforward. There's not much to it. Let's do some of those release steps. Clear nbdev clean nbs, nbdev build docs, okay, so we're going to get some errors here because of an import that Nbdev likes to be done, I believe, on its documentation file. I'm not, from dumb quote, overwrite. Let's try building the docs again. Okay. Yeah. All right. Think. So one of the things that needs to be done very typically at this point is a little bit of swaparoo of some init py stuff. You can see I have my release process sitting here for later in the video when we get up to that. But just to be clear, I am going to ls to make sure you understand that there's a dumb quote sitting here. We can cd into that dumb quotes, and the files that are put there are not merely core.py, but also init.py. And if I were to vim the dunder init, it's just a version number. But when you import core, it's going to hit this, not this. So to fix that, we take a magic line that is underdocumented in the Nbdev documentation, and we put it in this init.py. I'm going to get it from, so we'll vim init.py, but we're also going to vim // o off / its dunder init. So that's vimming both of those files at the same time. So I can go to the second one, yank it, go to the first one, paste. So from .core, import all, save, quit, nbdev build doc. See if that, build docs, it's always plural. See if that fixed it. Not quite. Okay. No module named, plural. Yeah, dumb quotes. Dumb me. I think I fixed it and didn't make it save enough, perhaps. Dumb quote. Make sure it saves. Try again. Okay, from dumb quotes import all, no module, the file, conversion failed. Okay, so I just do have a plural there sitting somewhere that I am not totally on top of. There's no plurals there. There's no dumb quotes. There it is. That is it. I think it tries to test run it. I should probably provide values for that. The documentation may actually truly test the program. These are some of the benefits, the true benefits of Nbdev, but you got to be aware of that kind of stuff. Whoops. One more try. Highlight, copy. I like Vim still. paste. Okay, let's see if that did it. Since I did so much documentation changing, we are also going to do Nbdev. We'll do a build lib first, because sometimes the lib is necessary for the documentation, because if it does a test run on the documentation, what's it going to use? It's going to use the .py version from the lib. So order of operations counts more than you would think. Build docs. Drum roll, please. Okay. On the following cell, that might be what I did over here in that init.py. Let's try loading those again. They're probably somewhere up here. There's the init.py of the local one. From core import all. That's fine. Let's check the contents now of this core file. Vim core. There's no plural in there. It looks to me like it's this one here. That matches that verbiage. So I'm save. Let's see if anyone in chat is chatting to me. There's probably people screaming, "What you doing?" Oh, hey, at least I know it's really working. No visitors currently, but so what? It's for me. Missing something. What am I missing? Nbdev clean NBS. It's always a good time to clean. Maybe it's that. Nbdev build lib. Nbdev build docs. Yeah, okay. Maybe it was just the cleaning the NBS. It was probably lurking around in the metadata. So we have an importable package. I can confirm that by making another notebook in this directory, because it will import from here, this naming convention that it makes by making this named the same as, well, anyway, I'll just show it. I don't need to talk it. Import dumb quotes, quote singular. There, watch. Oh, nope. Okay, no module named dumb quote. Oh, it's plural there. Oh, it was plural when I, oh, it's the directory is plural. Import dumb quotes. There it is. It's imported. So there is plural. It's the name of the directory, and I have the repo named that. Oh, I hate to have the inconsistency now between the singular and the plural. But let's first demonstrate it working. From dumb quotes, import dumb quote. Okay, text. Okay. Dumb quotes. Oh, yeah, dumb quotes dot dumb quotes. Dumb quotes dot dumb quote. Sample is not defined. Ah, okay. So input and output stuff. I have something a little wrong here. Let's fix that. Text. And I have the variable name sample in here. I have to replace that with text. Overwrite. clean NBS, Nbdev build lib, Nbdev build docs for good measure, but the test will work just after the lib is built. Something. Title appears in 2 pages. Okay, that's not the worst thing. And restart kernel. And just this is enough to test it, right? This is still, nope, that's not the place we test it. We restart kernel here. And that's not the place to test it. We restart kernel here. That is our untitled.py. Import thumb quotes, text equals, there. All right, so it's a library that replaces smart quotes with dumb quotes. I'll probably be cleaning it up for the plural singular, singular plural, ambiguity, but it works. So let's release it to PyPy. Deep breath. Here's the release script. You keep seeing me do all this stuff. It's not really necessary to bump a version, but we're going to do it anyway. It bumped it from version 1 to 2. If we were to Vim Settings Ini, you would see that version 2. This used to be .1. It's not now .2. Okay, so that's the first step. Next step is to build devs, or the build docs, the build lib, clean NBS. It's always a good idea to commit this stuff to GitHub before doing a push, a PyPy push. So before you do, you always want to clean those NBS, those notebooks. Git commit preparing for PyPy release. Git push. All right, so the latest is in GitHub. We could confirm that if we wanted to. Do a refresh here. 13 seconds ago, right? My release has taken here. If you wanted to drill into stuff, you could see it. Here's a subdirectory. Here's the core.py file. And there is our program in GitHub. So it's nice. It's in GitHub. It's one of my public repos now in GitHub. Come visit me. I do not know why there's so little green. I've been contributing a lot. That is not correct. Let's look at my profile. There we go. That's more like it. That's what I look like in GitHub. And okay, so now for the interesting stuff. So here I have removing the contents of the dist directory, but there is no dist directory in there yet. So we need to make dir distribution directory. There's nothing in there, so we don't have to delete its contents. But now Python 3 -m, making sure it's working out of all the stuff related to the local install of Python, build. Dun, dun, dun. Creating venv isolated environment, installing packages in isolated environment, getting dependencies. It's building all those egg files and wheels and whatnot. It's all native Python, so there's really nothing fancy to this. And so now it's created these files inside the dist directory. Right? That's the result of doing that build process. There's a wheel and there's a tar file. So we need a before and after. We want to go to PyPy again. Dumb quotes. Search results, nothing in there, right? Definitely nothing in there. Twine, upload the contents of the dist directory. I'm not even going to copy that. This is the kind of stuff I need to get in my fingers. We don't want to be in the dist directory when we do it. We want to be in our main repo directory. Twine, upload the contents of the dist directory. Bippity boppity boo. There's some dumb quotes for you. Release the pie. There it is. There's the documentation that we created right inside a Jupyter Notebook. Let's find overwrite. There's the documentation here that is both represented as the page here in py and see if mine comes up. Yep. And the home page here as well in GitHub. And so there you have it. That is a full release of a package into py. I guess the final thing would be Python 3.10. If I were to cd ... make dir delete me, cd delete me, vim foo.py, import dumb quotes, dumb quotes, some text that has smart quotes, and we'll print that. And do a before and after. Python foo.py. It's going to have an error because no module named dumb quotes. Pip install dumb quotes. Run it again. There you go. I'm in a cottage in the Poconos with the non-smart quotes. So I'll be using that in my system that does the blog slicing. Whenever I'm in a notebook like this and I do my keyboard shortcut that slices and dices my blogs and then releases it out onto the internet. This is an actual publishing process here. When it gets down to publishing sites, it's actually gonna, well, it's probably early. It'll be doing it earlier in the slice and dice process, but it will actually be stripping out the smart quotes using this library I just created, this package, this pip install package you saw created right before your eyes. From Jupyter Notebooks using Nbdev. Thanks for joining me. Hope to see you again soon, and don't forget to subscribe.